The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The season, the 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great. Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well. Welcome on in.
Who would have thought?
Off the bench. Who would have thought? Not us.
Back-to-back Fridays.
Off the bench, Chatterbox Sports, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Also on ESPN 1410 Wing AM, as well as YouTube.
Woo!
We're here everywhere. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in on this glorious Friday. It's probably the best weather day of the year so far.
I would say distantly. Yeah, it's supposed to get up to 80.
Not even remotely close.
Phenomenal.
So we got a Friday show for you. That's right. We don't steal that bit.
No.
I'd never steal that bit.
No, bits belong
from
to their
another
original
podcast,
owners. Yeah.
Casey. I wouldn't give them. You know what we should do?
I don't even think
Can we
Casey
get a lottery?
knew Friday
No, he
was
definitely
a
didn't.
stolen bit.
He definitely didn't. Can we get a lottery ball machine?
We
in
should.
here?
We should guess the numbers at the end of every show. That'd be really cool. I
What
wonder if our
if-
producer would never get it.
Yeah. What if we didn't do a lottery ball, but like just a jar full of numbers?
I like
Just,
that. And it was just like 3 numbers, and
Yeah.
one of us got it every day.
Yeah. I will not say their name. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Reds, and I'm I don't know what you want me to say anymore. I really don't. And this is why we host a daily sports talk show, because we get to react to the embarrassment that was yesterday. We'll get into it. We'll talk all about it. But man, is it frustrating right now. So I'll save that. We got headlines coming up in a second. But gentlemen, Casey, how are you on this Friday? Did you get any workout on your little work machine?
A workout yesterday?
Yeah, your little workout machine?
I did not work out yesterday.
That's
on
why
my
the Reds
machine, 'cause
lost.
Some are saying there's a correlation between me working out on that machine and the Reds' success. But unfortunately, Wednesday, that I worked out, showed you guys that video.
Yeah.
And they did not win regardless. So
That's fair.
maybe it's not me, and maybe it's just the Reds not being very good or
Maybe.
hurt.
Probably
But
has-
we'll see. We'll find out. We'll have
probably has a lot.
I would
We'll have
wager
to talk
on the
about
latter.
it.
Yeah.
Probably has a lot to do with it. Jacob, your vibes heading into the weekend?
Couldn't be much better than, waking up at whatever, 8 a.m., looking at my phone and seeing 65.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just such great vibes. I did go to the dentist yesterday. That's why I left early. First time in about 4, maybe 5 years.
Ew.
So they had a lot of catching up to do.
Cavities?
And no cavities.
All right, that's what matters.
Still rocking the clean sheet for my entire life, which is something I'm very, very proud of. But something dentists do that just drives me crazy. They grow that like third and fourth arm to just put more tools in your
Sure.
mouth to dig around.
Yeah.
And then they ask you open-ended questions.
Yeah, they do ask you a lot of questions.
I was asked where I live in town, what college I went to, and if I enjoyed my time down there, all with 3 hands in my mouth.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what they necessarily want me to do, but clean bill of health, and we're good here after a little bit of gum bleeding.
I absolutely hate the dentist, and it's just
It's the worst.
It's not the you know what I get too. It's when I go to the doctor in general. You guys know this. When I come to the office, I'm always worried about some sort of ailment and worried I'm going to die. But I think when you go to the doctor or the dentist, it's like otherworldly stress, and it shouldn't be, but it is. Because all they're doing really is just checking up to make sure everything's all right. But in your mind, it's so much worse. Now, the dentist actually does stink because they are scraping away in there, and it's not very fun. Did you guys have braces?
I did.
You had
No.
braces?
I did. No
You
braces for
no
Casey?
braces?
I was always straight teeth.
Good for you.
Never
Good for
needed
you.
braces.
I didn't have them for long. I think I had them for like 18 months or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you still have the retainer in there?
I have the bar on my
Yeah,
top
yeah.
teeth.
So I have the bar on the bottom and the top, I believe. And whenever they get in for the floss,
Oh, and they
it's-
feed it through.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
always like, what are we doing? We don't need to
Nightmare.
do that. We don't need to do that.
Nightmare.
Flossing's not real.
I do always wonder-
You know, I always say recycling's not real.
Yeah.
Flossing's also not.
No,
real.
I would agree. They told me yesterday flossing's actually more important than brushing. That's a lie.
Yeah, that's not true.
What kind of propaganda is that? Yeah, no, I don't Don't understand any of that. My question is always, if it's so hard for the dentist to feed that floss through the retainer, they really think I'm going to do that at home?
Not a chance.
Right.
Not a chance.
The orthodontists are just throwing that bar on our teeth and saying, see you never again. Good luck.
Yeah.
What about like a water pick? You guys ever invest in a water pick? Because I have a water pick.
That's so gross.
Now, I don't use it, but I have it.
How many things have you ordered that you don't use? Because
Well,
this
I got
workout
it.
machine's going to be up there with it.
No, I use my workout machine.
In about 2 months, you're never going to touch that thing again.
The water pick was a Christmas gift, and I did use it.
That's a solid Christmas
I
gift.
did use it for
It's
quite a
solid
bit.
Christmas.
Dental hygiene?
Yeah, yeah.
That's so much worse than getting socks.
I
love
stoked
socks for
this year when I got
Christmas.
socks.
Yeah, I love
Here's-
socks.
I'm wearing my Christmas socks right now. Shout out, Mom.
You can't even see them.
Yeah, a little Lululemon action.
If I'm not getting Nike Elites, I'm not getting socks. If I get a water pick for Christmas, I'm gonna throw it away. You don't get to give me that gift.
Well, I love my water pick. I just don't.
You just said you've never
it.
used it.
I know. I don't. I don't use it as much as I should. Is what I should say. I use it like once a month when I feel like, man, I haven't flossed in a while, and the dentists say that it's good for you. Maybe I should do it. And then I do it. And I'm like, this is a scam. I'm bleeding everywhere. So yeah, I mean, I feel your guys' pain with the flossing deal. What I do is I just use a lot of mouthwash. I feel like that gets the job done.
There you go. I'm a Listerine guy myself. No free ads.
No free ads. We'd never give a free ad to Listerine. By the way, AJ says real men don't brush their teeth. Do we agree with that one?
I'll be on the other side of that one. Maybe I'm not a real man.
Brush your tongue, says Nathan. That's the most important. Natty Ron wants sports talk. So with that all said, I think it's time for headlines.
Score updates, breaking news, local and national headlines. Whatever's going on in the world of sports, Elliot has you covered. Off the Bench brings you Elliot's headlines.
That's right. Thank you, Casey. Mouse Cop says, have we considered the fact that the Reds are winless since Elliott stood for the Wave?
Is this true?
Oh no.
I was at
Not the record.
We were at the game. Me and a couple buddies. I do have a buddy that's coincidentally friends with Mouse Cop. So Mouse Cop was also there. I didn't even know that. I walked
There we
right
go.
by him and I looked back and I'm like, oh my God, it's Mouse Cop. So we were at the game Wednesday night, and all of a sudden the Reds were down by 2. There were, I think it might have been the inning where Elly got on. It's like, we're fighting for our lives. And all of a sudden the guy in front of us is like, we're going to start the Wave. I'm like, buddy, I'm trying to watch the game. Can you sit down and let me watch the game? And nonetheless, he tried to start the Wave. Unsuccessful. Mind you. It was unsuccessful. It's hard to do a Wave when there's 3,500
Is there anything
people there.
sadder? Obviously, I think everyone in this room hates the Wave. Is there anything sadder than a failed Wave?
No.
Just watching the guy, and he stands up again, and he's like, let's go again, let's try.
No, there's nothing.
Come
sad.
on,
and he
guy.
counts it down 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, and he gets everybody up, and then there's nobody to get up. So, no, I did not stand for the Wave. The Wave stinks. Headlines. Yesterday's game. If you live under a rock or you missed it, yesterday's game, I would say, would be a metaphor for the entire season.
That's probably correct.
They were up. The Reds were up early. The Mariners blew it, the Mariners came back. The Reds blew it. Then the Reds came back, and then the Reds blew it again. All in a span of 4 hours, or however long that game was. It felt like it took forever.
Yeah.
11-7, the final score. Brady Singer, 4 1/3. He gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Earned runs being the key word there. Pagan blew the save for the first time this season. Ashcraft somehow gave up 4 runs, with none of them being earned in the 10th inning. None of them. None of the 4 runs that crossed the plate were earned runs, so his ERA is still 0.0. Jake Fraley, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs. He was a triple away from the cycle and had the grand slam in the bottom half of the 8th to give the Reds a 2-run lead, in which I said to myself, the Reds are going to win this one. Wow, I'm excited.
Me too.
And then, obviously, they went back-to-back in the 9th. Pagan blows it. 4 errors. 4 errors were tallied in this game. I would say there was about 8 miscues.
Yeah.
I don't know what the number of miscues there were, but 4 were the technical tally. Elly De La Cruz having 2 of them by himself. Reds take on the Orioles tonight, 7:05 in Baltimore. It's Abbott versus Cade Povich. Yikes. We'll get into it next segment. Rangers, they win 5-3 over the Angels. The Mets, they take care of the Cardinals 4-1. The Yankees, they get a 6-3 win over the Rays. The Royals, they get blown out by the Tigers 6-1. You have the Orioles winning the series over Cleveland, 6-2 win yesterday. Orioles are a little bit hot. Their offense is going off. They're hitting a lot of home runs, so that's something to watch heading into this series. The Athletics, they shut out the White Sox 8-0, and they outscore the White Sox 23-4 in that series. The White Sox, their magical run this season is over, it looks like. The Pirates, they shut out the Nationals 1-0 on an O'Neill Cruz home run. He's hit 2 in 2 days. So 1-0 win for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Heading over to the NBA, the association, the Mavericks. They take on the Grizzlies at 9:30. The Heat play the Hawks at 7 p.m. I'm sure those are meaningful.
Cannot wait. These two fall right smack in the dab in the middle of that FCC bucket for me. Will not miss it if it's on the TV at a bar.
That's right. I won't miss it. No, I will. I'm going to miss it.
Okay.
And I'm going to miss it intentionally.
Are you going to ask for the remote?
Correct. If it's on, if those two games are on the television, I will be turning it off.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is on it Friday night at 11, like American Ninja Warrior.
Now
we'll put on American Ninja Warrior.
No American Ninja Warrior slander on this show.
Before I watch the Dallas Mavericks without a roster taking on the Grizzlies at 9:30 in the fake playoffs. That's what I'm going to do. But nonetheless, first round of the real tournament starts Saturday. PGA Tour. Justin Thomas finished yesterday's round at RBC Heritage at 10 under par, which ties the course record. Alabama guy?
Oh, yeah.
Really? I didn't know
JT,
that.
yeah. He bought the pool table at the biggest bar down there.
How about that?
Has a little plaque on it for him.
He leads by 3 shots heading into round 2. JT is your leader. RBC Heritage, obviously one of my favorite tournaments of the year because my family goes to Hilton Head every single year. I've never played it. We've always been saving up. And my grandpa's at a point now, I think, in his playing career where he's hesitant because he thinks he's not good enough to pay like whatever it is, $500 for a round. But my argument would be, let's all just have some fun, go out there, and we'll make our own course record. If we shoot a 125, that's what we'll shoot at RBC. And again, Hilton Head courses, some of them are really, really tough. That one obviously very tough. So it would be. I mean, you'd have to bring legitimately 9 sleeves of balls. Like unlimited golf balls you'd have to bring. Everything going in the water or the woods. But saying all that, I do think that it would be very fun eventually one day to play that course for me. $500 is nothing. For the price of fun. And memories. Heading over to the NHL, the playoffs. They are set. They start Saturday as well. Blues take on the Jets. 6 p.m. for the West's first round. Also in the West, Casey's Avalanche versus Reed's Dallas Stars.
That's right.
Who you got in that one?
Clearly, the Avalanche, the natural disasters, are going to get it done. And it's really sad because, I mean, I don't want to hurt Reed's feelings. I mean, he's already got to root for the Cubs, and now he's got to root for the losers that are the Dallas Stars. And it's just a tough one to see. I mean, it's really hard to beat, MVP caliber Nathan McKinnon. And it's just going to be a tough day for the Stars. Just really tough day. I can't wait to watch it. The tensions in the office have never been higher, I think. Me and Reed were
Reed, by the way, not in the office this week.
Yeah. So never been
for this weekend. But yeah, good point.
Yeah. Can't wait to watch it this Saturday, 8:30, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, I did see this yesterday. Jazz Chisholm. Tensions have never been higher in the office. What a horrible week to say that. The one week you can't say that. Jazz Chisholm was ejected yesterday, and then what did he do after he was ejected? Did you see this?
He tweeted about
Went
it.
right on Twitter.
You know what the funniest part of the whole thing was?
What?
It was a strike.
Was it?
Yeah, I went and looked on Baseball Savant. That puppy was right in there.
Damn. Also, I didn't know what this Aaron Rodgers thing was. I saw he started yapping again.
He wasn't happy with the way the Jets handled the situation. I applaud Aaron Glenn. I think it was really, really funny. Did you see some of the quotes?
I'm looking at some of them now, and I guess I'll read a couple of them. Quote, "I wasn't stringing anyone along. I wasn't holding anyone hostage," Rodgers said. "I was honest from the jump about where I was mentally and some of the constraints I have in my life that warrant my attention. I'm open to anything and attached to I'm open to anything and attached to nothing.
That's right.
Retirement could still be a possibility, but right now my focus has been and will continue to be on my personal life. And that's what I've told the coaches. There's still conversations that are being had. It's all been very honest lines of communication.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of fun. Anytime we get Aaron Rodgers quotes, it's usually a lot of fun, right? You have to figure out what they mean and what drugs he took that morning. But he said that Aaron Glenn called him, said he needs to come into person. They're not going to have a conversation about his future over the phone. And Aaron Glenn asked him one question in the meeting. He said, "Are you interested in playing football next year?" And Aaron Rodgers said, "I'm interested." And Aaron Glenn said, "We're going to go in a different direction." So I find that very, very funny. I don't know if it's if Aaron Glenn had a point where if Rodgers wasn't all the way in at the point of that meeting, they were going to go in a different direction, or whether he was going to go in a different direction either way.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that he made Aaron Rodgers fly across the country for that meeting. I think it's very, very fun. I'm a big Rodgers guy. I love rooting for him. I certainly hope he doesn't retire. I'd love to watch him this year. At some point, he has till Thursday, right, to make the Steelers decision. They can't go into the draft without knowing who's playing quarterback. So I think they already know, right? Like, they would be handling this offseason a little bit differently if they didn't already have an inkling that Aaron Rodgers was going to sign there. So we'll see what happens. That's still fully my expectation. But, yeah, he's certainly always fun when he gets on McAfee and gets a mic in front of him.
Quote, "I told every single one of the teams I talked to, it ain't about the money. I'll play for $10 million.
That's not the minimum.
I don't care. I never once said I need a multi-year deal, $30 million or $40 million. That's absolute bull. I said I'll play for 10. Whatever." Good for Aaron. That sounds like a guy you'd want at age 47 to come lead your football
He'll play
franchise.
for 4 times the league minimum.
Yeah. No big deal.
He'll play for $10 million.
No big deal. Those are your headlines. So we're going to get into the Reds, unfortunately, coming up for the next several segments. So bear with us. It's a positive day. The sun's shining. Go outside. Go roll in the grass. Have some fun today. But for the next few segments, we are going to get down in the dumps about the Cincinnati Reds. I didn't want to do that, but we have to do that. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Welcome back. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench. Casey, Elliot, Jacob. Casey, every segment going forward, I'm going to need one Colorado Avalanche. Not this segment, but going forward. I'm going to need one player and his stats heading into that series with the Dallas Stars. I'm going to give you a whole segment to load up on it. From segment 3 to 6. I need some sort of Avalanche details that I can roll off of. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay. Does FCC play too?
FCC.
I always ask you this, and nobody ever knows in here. FCC schedule. They play tomorrow. They play Chicago. Chicago.
Fire?
FCC looks good. They're 5-1-2.
Yeah, they're like second or third on the table.
All right. There we go. But unfortunately, we're not talking about FC Cincinnati. We're talking about the Cincinnati Reds. I was listening to the game, most of it, yesterday, and it seemed like it was going to be one of those games where it was just going to be flat-out disappointment. The lineup underachieves against a starting pitcher with an 81 ERA. I didn't have great expectations, but again, I expected to win that game. The Mariners throw you a bone. They don't throw the pitcher that everybody expected. And hopefully you can score a couple of runs, just a couple. And they did, 2 runs early. And then immediately what happens, it's the complementary baseball effect that we talk about every single day. It's either the defense, it's either the offense, or it's the pitching. Sometimes all 3 are off. Most of the time, 2 of 3 are off and 1's on. Yesterday, 2 of 3 were off. I know they scored 7 runs, but for a long time there, that offense wasn't clicking. Pitching, it was probably the worst pitching day of the year. I would have to go into the schedule to see for sure, but it wasn't good. I mean, the Mariners were teeing off. They were able to make contact and they were taking advantage. But the story of the game was defense.
Yeah.
Before anything, the story of the game is the defensive side of the baseball. I was told when we switched out the manager that these problems would be addressed, that they would be fixed, the mental mistakes, the fundamental mistakes, the little things. That's what a World Series Hall of Fame manager fixes, right? Hasn't been that. And I know what Reds fans say. It's only 10 games. It's only 20 games. It's only half the season. This is a Major League Baseball franchise that's been unable to evolve over the last decade. They're running around in circles. Every single year, it's the same thing. I said it yesterday on Twitter. It feels like nothing gets improved. And nothing being not just the roster, but how they operate. There's no reason that we have seemingly 8 guys that can't play defense. Jake Fraley had a great game yesterday. Great game. So I'm not going to sit here and blame Jake Fraley. He had a woeful throw from right field. Santiago Espinal dropped a pop-up, routine. Wasn't paying attention, didn't communicate with wins at all. Elly De La Cruz, 2 errors. We got a first baseman who doesn't know how to play first base. We got an infielder playing left field. And we sit and we wonder, why aren't they good? Why aren't they good? The roster hasn't changed from last year. It's the same thing. It's the same exact roster, not including pitching staff. It's the same exact roster defensively and offensively. You have to spend to fix these problems. You have to. Not all of them. You can't fix every single spot in the lineup, and nobody expects them to. Jacob and I, Casey, Kinner, nobody in this world thinks the Reds can spend $500 million and replace every position. The guys that the Reds have to perform well. And they don't a lot of the time. They don't. The defense has to improve. And I know that's a blanket statement, and you can just say it and really have nothing ever done about it. But if you ever want to advance this roster, they have to learn how to play. I mean, these are mistakes that in 8th grade, I knew how to play. We would communicate when we played baseball. When a ball goes in the air, you call them off. When you're throwing a ball from right field, you hit the cutoff man. Or you at least have the throw somewhere on target. Keep the ball in front of you. The Reds are unable to do it. The manager change didn't help. It didn't. They can still win this season. They can get to the playoffs. Hell, they can win the World Series. But it's not going to be mainly because of Terry Francona. It's going to be mainly because eventually these players have to figure it out. I'm waiting for the moment for them to figure it out. The "they're so young" thing, that works for a while, but it doesn't work forever. Jeimer Candelario is getting paid more than just about everybody on this roster.
Right.
Contributes nothing. 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 CES, on the IL, love him, hasn't contributed anything. Nothing. And you go down the lineup and you're like, oh, who's going to contribute today? Is Spencer Steer? Nothing. Jake Fraley up until yesterday? Nothing. And you keep going and you're like, wait a minute, now we got like 6 or 7 guys that aren't contributing. And somehow, despite what all I just said, the defensive miscues, pitching blow-ups for seemingly the first time all season yesterday. Emilio Pagan blows a save for the first time. Tony Santillan struggles for the first time. All of this comes into play. 11 runs were given up. All of it. All of that. The Reds are one game under 500. And all the attention still goes to Elly De La Cruz. All of it. It's all focused on Elly De La Cruz. I'm not going to sit here and say he's free from criticism. I'm not going to do the Kinner rant and say that, Elly stinks and he's a bad player. You think that he's struggling, and he is. He hasn't had a great year. You think that he's struggling more than everybody else because he's the only player that's worth a damn. I was listening to Chatterbox Reds yesterday, Trace and Nick. If you don't have Elly De La Cruz, what do you have here? You certainly don't have a lineup. You don't. You can sit here and say Matt McLain's this and that. Matt McLain has yet to show that he's healthy. Elly De La Cruz has been healthy. He's been good. He's been above average in just about every metric, maybe except strikeouts. He's been a damn good baseball player. And I don't understand the fascination with picking up an infielder whenever they have one bad game and throwing them into left field or center field or right field. It makes no sense to me. It doesn't. The story of that game, yeah, did Elly make a couple mistakes? You're damn right he did. So did everybody else. Everybody. Jake Fraley had a good game, had a woeful throw from right field. Everybody else has to be good. They have to contribute a little bit. I'm not saying Elly De La Cruz is free from all this criticism. Because when you are the best player, you do have certain responsibilities. And I understand the frustration that it seems like he doesn't improve on the simple mistakes. I understand that. He had 29 errors last year that led Major League Baseball. Gunnar Henderson, who's, I would say, unanimously a top 2 shortstop in this league, he had 25. So we're going to say, move our shortstop to center field?
Well, that's worked for everyone that's moved star shortstops to center field, right?
Do you have the O'Neill Cruz stat yet?
I do. It was sent in the group chat. I don't know if Casey has it over there and we can pop it up. If not, I can just read it here. But O'Neill Cruz was moved to center field and certainly one of the more exciting, young, athletic shortstops. He grouped with Elly certainly a lot in terms of conversations around this division. The exciting young guys that cover so much ground and are elite defenders at shortstop. He's moved to center field this year, and he ranks 79th out of 79 eligible center fielders in outs above average. I know some people in our chat hate the outs above average stat, but he's -8, which is 4 outs worse than the next worst center fielder. Remember, O'Neill Cruz was a very good shortstop. He was a very exciting player, and now moved to center field. It's not even close to working. You took a player who was budding into an exciting young superstar, moved him off his position, and now he looks like a massive question mark for the future of your organization. That's certainly not something I would want for Elly De La Cruz.
Elly De La Cruz, again, he's 23 years old. Elly De La Cruz was born in 2002. 2002. He's the only player on this team consistently on the offensive side and defensive side of the baseball that's worth a damn. He's the only one. Matt McLain, can he be? Sure. Eventually, give me 140 games and we'll talk about it. Hell, give me 100 games and we'll talk about it. There's so many holes. So many. If you're going to waste your energy looking at the faults of the only player that's worth a damn, you are in for a miserable season. A miserable season. Last year, when Elly committed those 3 errors in Philadelphia earlier on, I sat here on this show and I said, you know what? Maybe he could have been taken out of that game because he wasn't there mentally. And you're kind of sort of seeing it now mentally, right? He's struggling. He's struggling at the plate. He's not swinging. He's committing simple mistakes in the field. He's having a rough stretch. But here's the thing. When a young player is trying to develop into a generational talent, when a young player has the weight of the world on his shoulder. He has the weight of the entire city of Cincinnati on his shoulder. To have all that pressure, to going in to every at-bat, saying, who's in front of me, who's behind me? Nobody. Nobody. Gavin Lux. Could he be good? Sure, I guess. Can Austin Hayes be the savior? Yeah, 100%. Maybe, eventually. But for the first half of the season, nobody's helped him offensively. Nobody's helped him defensively. Should he be better? Yeah. But there's so many more holes on this team that you have to look at before your eyes take you to Elly. I want to end this segment. I want to bring it back next year. Sorry for the rant.
I love the rant.
We're going to talk about it more. I understand your frustration. I get it. You want to see Elly De La Cruz be the best player he can be. And it is ironic that Casey and Jacob and I talked about this yesterday. Oh, he doesn't lead the league in errors or anything. He's
Now he does.
Yeah, now he does. He's struggling. But I don't understand the fascination to punish the only player that's worth a damn. I don't get it. We'll talk about it next. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench. Elliot, Jacob, Casey, in for you on this glorious Friday. Reds take on the Orioles tonight at 7:05 right here, ESPN 1410, Wing AM. Woo! Trying to be positive. We're trying to be positive. It's not working. Spirit Cat in the chat is saying Elliot's going to preach to the chat about being down on a player, and in a month he'll declare the season over. Yeah, because the players aren't good.
Right.
I mean, I can only say this for so long, guys. Take a look at this roster, and then take a look at I'm not even talking about the Dodgers, Yankees. Take a look at a decent roster in Major League Baseball. Just go take a look at a decent one, and you'll be amazed at how bad the Reds are. Truly, offensively. Truly. Will I say the season's over in a month? Yeah, probably. Because the season will be over. Does anybody expect this roster at this point to figure this out? Do you? You expect the Reds to figure out how to play defense? Because they haven't been able to figure it out in 2.5 years. You told me Terry Francona was going to figure it out. That was a lie. The base running mistakes happen all the time still. Elly De La Cruz is stealing way less. Guys are getting thrown out. The lineup is not good. It's not. And it's why the fascination with Elly De La Cruz makes no sense to me at this point. If Jake Fraley, Jeimer Candelario, Gavin Lux, Austin Hayes, if we had Tyler Stevenson here and TJ Friedl was hitting out of his ass, if everybody was playing well, I understand looking at Elly De La Cruz and saying, why aren't you hitting your weight?
Yeah.
Why aren't you playing good defense? But when the entire lineup and defensive positioning alignment isn't any better, then I don't understand why we're looking at Elly. They paid $21 million to Nick Martinez. They elected to pay, $5 million for Austin Hayes, and they traded for Gavin Lux. Those were the only offensive/defensive assistance that they've given the Reds this season. It wasn't enough. Wasn't nearly enough. I understand why everybody's frustrated. I get it. I want to understand it. I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just giving you my perspective as someone, am I a pessimist? Sure, 100%. Do I look at the Reds with a negative outlook a lot of the time? Yeah, I do. I don't think they've given us a ton of success over the past 30 years. I'm 25 years old. I haven't exactly seen a good Reds team. Maybe 2 good Reds teams. So you can understand that as it goes through my head and we look at it and look at Elly De La Cruz. I felt like we did the same thing with Joey Votto. Joey Votto was a Hall of Fame baseball player, and somehow it always went back to Joey Votto walks too much. He gets on base too much because he's not swinging. Elly De La Cruz is a good baseball player. Give him time. The rest of the players, I don't know. I don't know if they're good players. And to be quite honest, I'm running out of patience. Whatever little patience I had to begin with, I'm running out of it. I want to bring this up. We're going to talk about the defensive stuff. Nick Kirby tweeted this yesterday, and I don't know, Casey, if you can put it up. It's the one with that. That's it. Barry Larkin, I think
1988.
I think that, when you think of good baseball players, you think of Barry Larkin for the Reds.
When you think of shortstops for the Reds, there's one name that jumps off the page.
He had 29 errors. 29 errors. He was 24 years old. 29 errors. That's what Elly had last year. Elly's going to get better, guys. And Jacob's got some of the defensive numbers here to help you through it, but all the analytics say he's good. And you guys know me. I'm not a WAR, X-Flarp, and all these weird things. I don't go into all that. I like my basic stats. I like the stats that I've grown up with. But that includes fielding percentage. And he's an above-average fielder. He plays a position where the ball's hit to him. I don't know what the percentage is, but it feels like over half the time. So there's going to be more mistakes made there than at second base. There's more right-handed hitters than there are left-handed hitters. There's more right-handed hitters pull the ball than push the ball. Where does that ball going to go? It's going to go to the left side of the infield, right around where Elly De La Cruz is.
Which position's harder to play? We have these conversations in baseball all the time. Shortstop's one of the hardest positions, if not the hardest position to play on the field. So obviously there's going to be more opportunities for errors. And you can look at that column with the number of errors, and Elly's at the top of it, but you can look at other stats as well. And I sent this over to Casey. This is the outs above average leaderboard since the start of 2024. We're only 20 or so games into this season. This goes all the way back to last year, gives you a nice big sample size. In that sample size, Elly De La Cruz is the 4th best defensive shortstop in baseball. And some of you guys don't seem to care about outs above average. You throw it in there with, exit velocity and a lot of that stuff that is just one of those advanced metrics that we shouldn't necessarily use. Outs above average incorporates the errors that you're talking about. It incorporates all those negative plays that drive so many of you fans up the wall, but it also incorporates the running dive into foul territory by the tarp that no other shortstop in the league can get. It also incorporates running out to center field, catching a fly ball over your head that's a bloop for any other infield. It also incorporates diving for a ball towards second base, flipping it over to first, and getting an out that no one else in the league can get. All of those positive plays combined with the league-leading errors gives you a top 4 shortstop in baseball defensively. So you can have, be upset about the errors. You can be upset about the miscues. And the reason why you should be upset about that is because if he cleaned those up, he would be the best defensive player we've ever seen play baseball. You shouldn't be mad about those because he's not good at playing shortstop, because that's objectively false when you look at stats that incorporate every part of the game. It's not just errors, and it's not just great plays. That's why we have these stats that can show you the entire body of work. If you lead the league in errors and you're still a top 5 defensive player, I don't care about the errors. If you lead the league in errors and you're an abysmal defender, then we have a conversation about who you are as a defender. It's 2025, not 1940. We have a billion stats at our disposal to tell us how players are playing. That's why I have so much frustration with Terry Francona's management style this year, because I feel like I'm scratching my head with a lot of the decisions made. I like to know the justification behind a lot of moves, and I think that's what metrics are able to give you. There are metrics across the board. Outs above average, which I just showed you, defensive runs saved, which I don't have a graphic for, but he was also top 7 in that over the last 2 years. Both of those numbers incorporate errors, as well as the great plays, and prove that Elly overall is an elite defender. Not just a good defender, an elite defender.
And if you want to keep saying the error thing, I get it. It's not fun to have a player lead the league in errors. What's the number then? Second place, is that all right? Is second place in errors okay? What about third place? Again, I bring up Gunnar Henderson because he's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Orioles fans aren't complaining that he came in third in errors.
No.
He had 4 less errors last season. 4. He had 4 less errors than Elly De La Cruz. Jose Ramirez, heading into yesterday, led the league in errors. Do you think the Cleveland Guardians give a damn that that guy leads the league in errors?
Don't think so.
I don't know why it's such a fascination. How many errors will it take? If he's the world's most perfect defensive player, then maybe. But he plays 160 games, guys. He plays the entire season. So you're looking at the errors leader from last year, and you look around and you say, wow, well, Mason Wynn, he only had 18. He played in 12 less baseball games. They play less games than Elly. I'm not, if the rest of the team was playing up to their potential right now, this is a different conversation because, yeah, Elly has to be better. There are higher expectations when you're the best player on the team. But the standard that we're holding him to is, I truly think it's an impossible standard to meet. You want a guy who commits 0 errors, steals 75 bases,
Never gets caught.
hits 30 home runs, and plays elite ball. That's what you guys want. It's hard to accomplish that feat at age 23, or however old he is, born in 2002. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I know he's a Major League Baseball player. I know he's getting paid a lot of money. The error that happened in the extra innings yesterday, was it bad? Yeah, it was terrible. And it was almost laugh out loud funny the way that they lost that game. But my question to you is, what's the alternative? And I want to get into the alternatives. What's the alternative if we bench him? Or whatever you guys want to do to him. Send him to AAA. Hypothetically, in your world, we put him in the outfield. We put him in center field. The number one thing Elly has going for him, and I'll stand by it, knock on all the wood in this studio, is that he plays 160 baseball games a season. 160. I've watched a lot of outfielders in my time being a baseball fan. There's one common denominator out there, is that usually someone eventually gets hurt. Whether it's throwing, whether it's running into somebody, whether it's tripping up on somebody, diving into a wall, diving into the net. There are more causes, in my opinion, for injury. There's more reason for injury out in the outfield than there is at shortstop. Do you want less games of Elly? Then put him out in center field. We'll put him out there. If you want to bench Elly De La Cruz, who's the replacement? We put Matt McLain at shortstop. Played great at shortstop. Okay? What's the rest of the lineup without Elly De La Cruz? What is it? Somebody help me out. Santiago Espinal is now an everyday player. He pretty much is anyway. Who else is coming up? Noelvi Marte? Noelvi Marte can't hit a baseball. Or field a baseball, for that matter. You have Jeimer Candelario taking $20 million a year from the Reds, and he can't do a thing. Nobody's looking at him. He can't do a thing. You talk about expectations. How about the highest paid offensive player play a little bit of offense? Jeimer Candelario this season, he's hitting 117. 117. He has 7 hits in 60 at-bats. He has almost 30 strikeouts in 60 at-bats. Where's the criticism for him? Spencer Steer, does he still have 5 hits on the year? He has 6. He's 6 for 50. He's 6 for 50. And we're looking at Elly? Guys, I'm with you. I'm with you. I want the team to be better. But the one good player has bad stretches. It's going to happen. It's too long of a season to not have that happen. I want to understand it. I want to be with you guys. You guys know I'm a negative fan. You know I have higher expectations probably than everybody in this room, everybody in this office, everybody in this company combined. I freak out over every little thing. Not to the Frank the Tank extent. But do I say the sky is falling 25 times a season? You're damn right I do. Because I'm a Reds fan and I care. And it sucks when they suck. It very much directly impacts my mood. And that's why you're all frustrated, because we're all Reds fans. We all want them to be better. We want Elly to be better. My goal in all this is just to at least help you before you blame Elly. There are 9 different guys we can blame on this team before we get to Elly. That's all I'm saying. I don't know what the answer is. There's no set answer. But I know picking up an infielder and moving him out to the outfield isn't going to work. It's not. Mark Fetters, I think Mark Fetters in the chat and I have had this conversation for a long time. Jonathan India couldn't play defense at second base. I would say out of all the positions, a relatively easy position to play. Mm-hmm. And you think putting him out in left is going to make things better? Elly plays a very difficult position at shortstop. Very difficult. Mistakes are going to happen. Just because you put him out at center field and it's more difficult to statistically give an error to an outfielder. People forget in Major League Baseball, if the sun blocks the baseball and the outfielder loses it, as long as he doesn't touch it, it's not an error. Errors are a stat that's based on circumstance. It's a circumstantial stat. It matters where you play. It matters who's hitting. It matters all of that. So it's weird to only focus on that one. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about it. We're going to talk more about the Reds. Hopefully, going forward, what they need to do. I mean, we all know what they need to do, but we might as well talk about it. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports, presented by United Dairy Farmers. It's Elliot, it's Jacob, and it's Casey. By the way, unbelievable.
I mean, this is what, month 2?
Month 2 of this. Shout out to my mom. She hooked me up with these healthcare scams, and now I get calls nonstop. Welcome on in. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. It's Elliot here with Jacob and Casey. We're talking about Elly. We're talking about Elly because that's the only player that's worth talking about, really, on the offensive side of the baseball or defensive side of the baseball. So when he makes a mistake, you got to talk about it. I see Cincy B in the chat. I see Tyler in the chat. You're saying move Elly off. All right, so hypothetically, let's play this game. We move Elly off. He goes to third base. He goes to second base, which would be a joke.
Just take away his range.
So let's put him at third base to make this make sense. Because honestly, I wouldn't be opposed in the future, maybe eventually, to him play at third base. Hypothetically. You move him off, we have Matt at shortstop. When Matt goes down with an injury, where does Elly go? Where does Elly go? Back to short, right? So it's just a waiting game. Because Ellie's the only player that stays healthy. You want him out in center field. You're risking that health. You're risking 160 games out of Elly De La Cruz. You want Blake Dunn for 160? You want Hurtubise for 160? You want Will Benson for 160? You want Jake Fraley for 160? Who do you want for 160 instead of Elly De La Cruz? Is my question to you. He's having a bad stretch. It's tough to watch. Offensively, I hear the experts chirp all the time. He's not clutch. And to be quite honest, I somewhat agree with that. It does seem like when it comes to the 9th inning, the 10th inning, the 8th inning, when you need him to do something big, it seems like he hasn't been able to do that. But what did Jacob tell me right before the show started about Elly coming up in a big moment?
When you have zero faith in the other 8 guys, you get a little bit of a magnifying glass on the one that you think could maybe drive in a run. Like I don't think it's crazy to look at this team and put a lot of pressure on Elly. I think everyone is. I certainly do. I think what's crazy is to make the jump here to not just ask for improvement of a 23-year-old, but ask for a benching or a movement from a guy that's proven time and time again, even with these missteps and mistakes, he's still elite in every aspect of the game. Everyone pointed to, I think it was Mike Petriglia that actually tweeted last game, Reds fans having flashbacks to 2024 Elly. I know Nick Kirby quote tweeted it with basically what I'm going to say here, and I scratched my head as soon as I read that tweet and said, 2024 Elly? Is that a negative?
Yeah.
In some way? He finished top 10 in the MVP in the National League. He had over 6.5 WAR. He was one of the best defensive players in the league while leading the league in errors. How is that a negative thing? 2024 Elly was unbelievable. And we're going to point to that as a bad thing? Now I have people in the chat saying, well, he's not improving. We're not seeing the big steps forward that we wanted to see so far this year. Okay, we're 20 games in. Would I have loved him to be hitting .330 with no errors and be the best player in the league right now? Absolutely. He's also 23 on a team that was plus 300 to make the playoffs this year that hasn't been scoring runs through anyone in the lineup. Matt McLain, who's his only protection in said lineup, missed 4 games. What do you want him to do? You want him to play better? Me too. The solution to that is not moving him off shortstop, moving him off the most important position on the field, moving him off the place where he uses his speed, his range, and his arm to his advantage to help the team as much as possible. People in the chat saying, well, these errors cost us runs and cost us games, but then they want to ignore stats like defensive runs saved, which directly tell you how he relates in that metric to the rest of the league. That's the part I just don't understand. It seems like people have made their mind up that Elly has to be better, and they don't care about any of the other stats that tell you that he is pretty dang good. And I think that's the most frustrating part right now.
Again, all we're cheering for is the Reds to be good. And we had that for a moment yesterday. Jake Fraley hitting that grand slam was spectacular. I was listening on the radio. I legitimately, I'm not kidding, I pulled over the side of the road. I pulled over. And I listened to Tommy and the Cowboy. It was an electric call. I loved it. And to have that excitement, to have some fight, and to have it all go down the drain in seemingly the same way. And that's the biggest takeaway I have. It's not Elly De La Cruz. It's the team as a whole doesn't know how to play fundamental baseball. They don't know how to play complementary baseball. When someone's going bad, you got to pick them up. But nobody plays good at the same time, and that's my issue. The pitching staff and the offense, they don't have complete games. Defensively as well. Base running as well. There's just a lot of these little mistakes that stack up, and to a point where it's honestly borderline unwatchable how fundamentally unsound this roster is. It's going to be a frustrating season. Yeah. I said before the year it was going to be an exciting brand of baseball. Hand up, I'm wrong. It's not fun to watch. Not yet, at least. You know, there's been a couple standout performances. That Jake Fraley grand slam was one of the cooler moments. I think that's happened over the past few years, and it's unfortunately been ruined by what happened after it. But guys are going to get better. I can only say that and hope, because I don't know if that's the case. Elly De La Cruz isn't playing great baseball. He's not. Nobody in this world can tell me right now that he's playing good baseball at this very second. But I'd bet a lot of money, a lot of it, and you guys know I'm a gambler. I bet a lot of money that Elly De La Cruz is still a 5, 6, 7, 8 WAR player by the time this season ends. Because he means that much and he's that good. He's going to figure it out. Give him time. The rest of the guys, again, all you can do is hope that somebody learns how to hit a baseball. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I can only sit here and hope. That's all. The Reds take on the Orioles tonight, 7:05. Orioles are not playing great baseball in the season, but they are playing better baseball as of late, especially in terms of their offense. Andrew Abbott, what are your expectations for Andrew Abbott tonight against the Baltimore Orioles lineup? Pitching staff, they've pretty much lost everybody. Yeah. But offensively, they still got a killer lineup.
Certainly do. Yeah, certainly still have pieces. We talked about Gunnar Henderson earlier, one of the better shortstops in baseball. Adley Rutschman, one of the best catchers in baseball. That's why it's a little bit surprising what we've seen so far from the Orioles this year. Back-to-back 100-win seasons, back-to-back first-round playoff exits, and then this year they start off so slow. A little bit frustrating, I'm sure, for Orioles fans. Hopefully the Reds can take advantage. I think this is probably the best window to catch the Orioles in, if I had to guess. I don't imagine they're going to be reeling for too long. I hope Abbott can come out and put together a really good outing. His first outing was great, 5 innings of really not getting roughed up much at all. So hopefully we can come out and see more of that. If Abbott can be the person that you want to be in this rotation, the version of himself that we thought he was going to be, at least that we've seen in the beginning part of seasons over the last few years, that's going to be a great pickup for this rotation, a rotation that's been the obvious strength of the team. So I absolutely love that he's back, and hopefully he can show us a lot of what we saw in that first start.
Yeah. Since you be asked, do strikeouts matter? Yes. Yep, strikeouts matter as well when it comes to Elly De La Cruz. He has 24 strikeouts and 74 at-bats. I just took a look at our highest-paid offensive player. He has the same amount of strikeouts and 14 less at-bats. I'm taking a look around this lineup, and again, Will Benson was up here for a cup of coffee. He had 4 strikeouts and his 4 at-bats. The team's not fundamentally sound. They're not. And Gavin Lux has 20 strikeouts and 60 at-bats. That would be 12 less at-bats than Elly De La Cruz, 3 less strikeouts. The rest of the team's not good. And I don't understand where the disconnect is there. That's the part I don't get. Take a look at the lineup. I mean, we want to go back to, and again, I think of the old time stats. I think they matter. But I do understand the point that Kirby and Evan in the chat and Jacob and everybody else, all these advanced analytics that they use now in today's game, there's a reason they use them, is because they're accurate. They work. But if you wanted to do your way and you wanted to go back to the basics, who has the most hits on the team? Elly De La Cruz has 18. TJ Friedl has 19. Who has the most doubles on the Reds this year? It's a 3-way tie for first between Fraley, Jose Trevino, and Elly De La Cruz. Who has the most home runs on the team? Elly De La Cruz. Most RBIs. It's not even remotely close. It's Elly De La Cruz. 18. The next closest in RBIs, by the way, on this team is 7, if I'm reading that right. TJ Friedl and Jay Meir have 7. I think Jay Meir had 4 in that first game. Who leads the team in walks? Because they don't walk either.
Right.
Elly De La Cruz is second in walks to Jay Meir Candelario. Stolen bases, Elly's the leader. Batting average at 243, I think he's in second place amongst qualified hitters. Gavin Lux is in first, and maybe if you want to count Espinal with 30 less at bats, or if you want to count Jose Trevino with less at bats, that's fine. Every stat, Elly's the best player. I'm not saying it's good, but he's the best. That's what I'm saying. Overreaction about Elly. I overreact. You guys know that. I overreact about the team as a whole. But again, locking in on one guy who without him, I mean, could you imagine this team without Elly De La Cruz? Take a second and just imagine it. You can take away 20 runs, you can take away 20 hits, and you can take away his defense at shortstop. Take a look at that roster now. It's not good. And that's with Matt McLain, assuming he's healthy for a second. That's why we're saying all this. Back to the Orioles. I think the Orioles series, this is, if it's not a must-win, it's a can't-lose. Losing all the momentum that the Reds just lost with that, it was a gut punch like I've never felt before. It was an insane gut punch to lose the way they did yesterday. By 4 runs, somehow. Led by 2 in the top of the 9th. With an insane grand slam by Jake Fraley. This Orioles team is struggling pitching-wise. You have to take advantage of it. I just read the stats there for the Reds. Offensively, I don't have a lot of hope for them, but for what it's worth, Jake Fraley's playing a little bit better. He's making a little bit harder contact. Elly De La Cruz, I'm hoping he's going to start swinging, gaining that confidence that's been lost for at least a week now. Matt McLain, I'd like him to be better than he is. Outside of that first few series, I would say Matt McLain hasn't contributed a whole lot. Maybe that first series in general. I'd have to go back and look. There's a lot that's to be desired here for the Reds, and I'm hoping you can get some of that back on the road in Baltimore. It's a tough place to play. But again, they're 8-10 on the year. They're struggling. Hopefully you can take advantage of it, because eventually, if you don't win these games that you're supposed to win, the rest of this season's lost. I mean, it's just over. We're going to have Hunter Greene. So Hunter Greene's going to be here, I think, tomorrow, right, I believe?
Should be.
So we're going to have a chance at that game, or at least Hunter Greene's going to give him a chance. He's going to not allow a run. We'll see if the offense can score one. But it's a big series. It's a massive series for the Reds. And you have to find that momentum again, because having it all sucked away yesterday like that, it's just brutal. But I see Craig in the chat. We can all agree that Elly needs to cut down on errors while acknowledging he has the potential to be one of, if not the best player in baseball. It's true. You can play both sides of the fence. You can be frustrated that Elly De La Cruz isn't playing his best baseball, while also saying if we didn't have Elly De La Cruz, this lineup is the worst lineup in Major League Baseball. You can say both. And there's a fly in my face. You can say both.
I don't think you can, by the way. I think that's nonsense. I think that's straddling the fence. I think when you have a debate about a star player on a team, you have to take a side on something. You either hate him for the errors and the strikeouts, or you think he's an elite player and you look at the advanced metrics. I do not think you can take both sides.
All right. Well, then
I think this is a debate where you should take a side.
Then if I don't take a side, then I'm taking Elly's side. Because why would I take the other 8 guys in the lineup side? Because if you had to separate Elly and the other 8 have done nothing. They're terrible. Terrible. Austin Hayes has been good for a cup of coffee. Gavin Lux is way better as of late. The rest of the lineup can't hit. And even worse, they can't get on base. People complain about walking. My God, I'd pay for somebody to get a walk.
Yeah.
I'd pay for it. So yeah, I'm going to take Elly De La Cruz. If I'm not allowed to play both sides on that, if I'm not allowed to say he can be better while also being frustrated, then I'm going to say I'm going to ride with Elly De La Cruz. I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket while everybody else sells their stock. I'll buy it. I'll buy that stock. But that's it. Maybe we got one more in us, but I'm not going to lie. Talking the Reds is upsetting me on a glorious... It's sunny outside. It's sunny. Go outside. Go outside with a friend. Go grab a baseball glove and go toss. Go run a mile. Go fishing. I don't know what you do, but go have fun. Life is too short to care about the Cincinnati Reds the way we care about them. But God, that's engraved in our brains, isn't it? Just caring about this local team who lets us down every single chance they get. 9-23 or whatever in rubber matches over the last year and this year. They haven't won a series where they lose game 1 in seemingly 100 games, 100 years. That's what we're dealing with our local ball club. We love them. But boy, does it ruin our moods. I saw Nick Kirby on Chatterbox Reds yesterday. It was the most down I've ever seen him. Yeah. If you're beating down our good friend Nick Kirby, you know something's going wrong.
Yeah.
And I think our guy's been beat down a little bit. I just want a little bit of hope. I want a little bit of that Terry magic everybody told me about. And hopefully the Reds can figure something out. But I tell you right now, if you expect them to figure it out without Elly De La Cruz, you're not paying attention. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench. Elliot, Jacob, Casey. Hopefully we'll change into something else next.
Different people?
That's enough Reds talk for today. I can only do so much. It just frustrates us all. And all we want to see is a winner. Can you imagine?
Oh.
Can you close your eyes?
It'd be beautiful.
And imagine the Reds, Elly De La Cruz hoisting up the World Series trophy, that beautiful piece of metal, just hoisting it up in the air. And all of us in unison going downtown to the banks and having ourselves a night. God, that would be fun. Oh, that would be so much fun. And hopefully we get it one day. I don't know if it's going to be soon based on how this lineup hits, but hopefully it's within my lifetime. That's all I can hope and pray for. Deion Sanders. He was asked about Shador's jersey retirement.
That's right.
Quote, if his last name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't have this discussion.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think we
a lot
all
of people
I'm with him. Shout out Deion. A lot of disagreements over the years, especially his time in Boulder, where he's handled that team, where he's handled his son at quarterback, all that good stuff. But this one, he hit the nail on the head. He's absolutely right. There is no way we would be having a conversation about Shador's jersey being retired if his pops wasn't the coach.
That's right. Listen, good for him. I'm hoping how many years did he play for Colorado?
2. How many bowl games?
One.
1, but they didn't win it.
How many touchdowns did he have?
I do think he has a lot of counting number records.
Does he?
For Colorado. I think they said, and this is how you know it's a load of poop. They said Shador Sanders has 100 records at Colorado.
Wow, 100.
100.
That's not real. That can't be real.
I don't even know if I could list 100 offensive stats in football.
You listen.
Yeah, that's
Listen. 2 years at a school. It's hard for me to say that your jersey should be retired. Sometimes it works, though. Sometimes you're good enough.
Cordell Stewart, our Colorado quarterback, 2 top 10 finishes in his time leading the Buffalo. His number, not retired, actually will be worn by Julian Lewis, their projected starter next year, number 10. And the two, the players on the 1990-1991 national championship team for the Colorado Buffalo, no numbers retired for any of those guys.
Okay.
Rashawn Salam's number is retired. Their only Heisman winner before Travis Hunter, so I guess that makes sense now. Travis joins them. I still think even Travis Hunter, this seems really early. Retiring numbers at the spring game for guys that just graduated. Tim Tebow's number is not retired in Florida yet.
Yeah.
He won 2 national championships and a Heisman.
Yeah.
Ohio State hasn't retired a number in years. And these are schools with, multiple national championships, guys leading you to the mountaintop. To retire guys' numbers this quick that never won anything.
What you don't understand, Jacob, is that they're leaving Colorado better than how they found it. And that's why they're getting their jerseys retired.
Yeah, 13-12 in 2 years.
I'm sure Shador is going to be a great draft pick. In Cleveland, I hope you take him. He's going to be a superstar. That's all I can hope. His jersey's retired at Colorado. That means he's a great player, and he's going to be a great player for the Cleveland Browns. I have no doubt in my mind. Please select him. But heading into the draft talk, as we're going to segue right in there, Casey, the draft.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had a lot of Casey draft talk yet. And we said yesterday, I think it was after the show, Casey's going to start driving the bus here on the draft.
It's my favorite week probably of the year. I haven't done a week here yet, but I just imagine Casey just puts the backpack on and carries the show. I love it. He has just the best grin on his face whenever we start talking draft, especially when we get into what we're going to talk about today. We focused on pick 17 yesterday, getting into the later rounds, which I know is Casey's bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, I for many of you that don't know in the chat or do know, I just love draft. I love the draft conversation. I love learning about guys in the first, second, third, all the way down to the irrelevant guy, the seventh round guys. So just jumping right into it, Bengals have got tough decision to make, pick 17. And really, they got lots of options, but those choices will shape and determine how the rest of the draft goes. And I think it's a conversation to be had. I think this is actually a really interesting topic to talk about, because I've seen a lot of the fans really wanting a defensive tackle, a edge rusher. I think that's what most of us would like to have on this team, is a guy that could get after the quarterback. And I just want to throw in a different scenario there if they don't go that direction, and why I think it actually makes more sense or less sense, depending on how you look at it. Getting a guy that is going to add value to the defense honestly won't be that hard, because there's not a lot of guys that deserve starting roles on the team that's already there. I think you can find talent later on in the draft that can easily compete for a starting role. And I also think that you look at the different position groups, like edge rusher in this class or defensive tackle, it's a lot. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of guys in this class that you might feel really comfortable with a guy in the second round competing for that other edge spot or that defensive tackle spot. Guard and offensive tackle, that offensive line converts, I think is a little more of a discussion. I think that there's less of those guys there that you feel comfortable taking a starting position day one. And I think, honestly, what I've seen here recently, a lot of conversation towards the first round being the Kelvin Banks of the world. I think that's actually a better choice than the Walter Nolans and the James Pierce Jr.'s of the world, because I'm not sure you're going to find a guy in the second round that will fit what the Bengals are looking for. One, someone that's young and someone that fits the scheme, someone that went to a prominent school. And two, you're not going to find you have more options in the second round for those types of players at edge and defensive tackle, at least from most of the consensus boards. For me, I think the optimal way to draft for the Bengals this year is to go offensive lineman in round one, which I didn't think that would be the case. But after looking at it, I do think that Kelvin Banks makes a lot of sense, because he gives you position versatility. I think he's the second best offensive lineman in the draft class, more than likely.
Really? You have him above Membu?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's something to be said about having a long career.
For sure. Outland
success.
Trophy winner this year, most outstanding lineman in all of college football, first team All-SEC back-to-back seasons. He certainly has the body of work. I think a lot of people kind of got scared off for the Raz score. Not that it was Tyler Booker bad, like we talked about yesterday, but certainly not Armen Membu 10 out of 10 good. So that certainly caused some of that shift. But I love Banks too. Yeah,
and I just think you have more versatility in the way that you start picking guys in the draft. And I know a lot of people will not like that, because they want to get a guy next to Trey that can really make a difference. But I don't think you get to that second round that you're finding a guy that goes in day one on this offensive line and competes for that starting role. I don't. Okay. I don't think that they're in on Tate Ratledge. He's going to be 24 and a half during the season. He'll be 25 by the end of the season. Like, I don't think those types of guys make sense for them.
Do you think there's a Tate Ratledge opportunity in the third round? I've seen that as a possibility.
I think that they're more likely to make that pick in the third round.
More, will he be there? Because that's certainly where I agree as well. He fits more of their mold for that later pick, not first or second round. So if he is there on day 3, I would love him as a guard. I am, just like you said, hesitant they would even pull the trigger at 49. Do you think he'd be there at 81?
That's a good question. I mean, the RAS score is what is really
boosting
boosting his profile. So it's going to be close.
I also think it comes into how many tackles these GMs view as guards.
Right.
He's certainly the number 2 guard behind Tyler Booker, I think, in this class, but there's anywhere from 5 to 8 tackles in between them, depending on where you look in terms of guard converts. So he could certainly fall to the 80s.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, there's definitely, and like I said though, I think there's more defensive players in that second to third round range you feel comfortable taking that will make a difference day 1 than there is for offensive linemen. I think that gets really quickly dry. It gets really dry really fast. I think there's a lot of developmental guys that I like on offensive linemen in those later rounds. But in terms of guys that are going to make a difference, I think it's first or second round. And after that, I'm just like, you're rolling the dice on a guy either in free agency or you're just rolling with what you got. And that's not even to mention like just the profiles in general. There's a ton of older prospects at offensive linemen later on. And I just know that's not where the Bengals like to go. They like to get young. They like to be more athletic. And that's just not what you're going to find later on in the draft. You're going to find it early. And when you look at defensive linemen in this draft class, there's a ton of younger guys that, that might not fit the profile in terms of size, but they are guys I think come in day 1 and have a solid rotational role or even a starting role. Like DeJuan Walkers of the world could be there second and third round. TJ Sanders, second or third round. The Stewart kid from Michigan, that's another edge rusher. Or the Swinson from LSU. Like there's so many guys that I think, Landon Jackson, those guys come in day 1 and I think actually compete for that starting role. I don't know if, and Tate Ratledge might be the only guard that comes in day 1.
Yeah.
And that's one name. That's one guy. I just listed 4 or 5 guys, and there's plenty more. It depends on how they view some of the other guys too, like Darius Alexander that are older. But there's plenty of other talent there day 2 defensively that I feel more comfortable with than I do with offensive lineman prospects in day 2. And I didn't think I would get there, but after looking at it from a top view perspective on how they're going to have to plan out the draft, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think, funny enough, I'm on almost exactly the opposite side of you here. I think it's easier to get O-line depth later than it will be to get a defensive pass rusher.
Starting O-line?
I really do believe so. I think there's a lot of tackles that can be bumped down to guard and play at a very high level. I think the guards, Tate Ratledge, like you mentioned, I think he's a no-doubt starter in week 1 this year. Jared Wilson, the other interior lineman from Georgia, put together some phenomenal pre-draft testing. He played center at Georgia, but also has the ability to shoot out and play guard. He met with the Bengals twice. Logan Brown, the tackle from Kansas, I really like him as a potential guard. I think there's a lot of ways to go at the second and third round picks, 49 and 81, to address that offensive line. Now, I think they absolutely have to use 2 of those first 3 picks at a minimum on a pass rusher and a pass protector. Those are the 2 things the Bengals have to get better at in this draft. They have to keep Joe Burrow upright, and they have to put the other quarterback on the ground. There's no way around it. That's what the Bengals have to do. I just have a concern about an immediate pass rush impact outside of the first round. I think a lot of those guys at the defensive tackle position as we get later into the rounds are phenomenal players, but more so those run defenders, and you're hoping for pass rush upside, kind of like the box we've put ourselves in now with Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, hoping for them to break out of that college profile and kind of emerge into pass rushers that we haven't necessarily seen before. And while that's a route I'd be fine with the Bengals going, because I think Kelvin Banks is that good, and I think these 2 or 3 years at guard are going to be fine, and then he'll be a phenomenal tackle after Orlando Brown leaves next to Marius Mims, which is certainly not something you can overlook. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans hammering the table about positional value. Don't take a safety, don't take a tight end, don't take a guard in the first round. But if you're taking a guard in the first round, I don't think the Bengals are pulling that trigger unless they have the assumption that he will play tackle after Orlando Brown. I think that's the only way you're taking that offensive lineman at 17. So I would absolutely be fine with it. I think pass rush and pass protection are certainly my 2 preferences at 17. I just think when it comes to specifically what the Bengals need on the defensive line, pass rush production right out of the gate, I'm a little bit more comfortable with them finding a tackle convert to play guard in that second or third round.
I want to continue this next segment. Bengals got the 17th pick, have the 17th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. That's Thursday, right?
It is.
Thursday night. Chatterbox Bengals will be live Monday.
That's right. Not live. We're going to record. We're going to interview with Gridiron Grading. Came on with us in, I believe it was either September or October, early in the Bengals season. So we're going to have them back on. They'll run through their wonderful website. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, you're into the draft, go check out Gridiron Grading's website and Google Sheet. It's phenomenal. 700-plus players graded with film and scores next to them. It is a great resource to use for draft season. We're going to have them on Monday night to talk about Bengals' best fits, players to look out for, and kind of walk you through how to use that sheet, get you ready for draft week. And then I think we're going to have some more content rolling out all draft week for you, getting ready for Thursday night. And then we will be live Thursday night for the first round.
Hell yes.
We'll be live from pick 1 all the way through the first round. Oh, yeah, whole first round.
Oh, my goodness.
And we'll talk about the Bengals pick when it happens, focus on, obviously, the Browns at pick 2. We got the Ravens and the Steelers after us. So we'll certainly be interesting to watch all the teams that definitely affect the Bengals and how that board falls leading up to pick 17. Hopefully not pulling my hair out as we watch guys I like fall off the board. Hopefully it's guys I don't like. So we'll see how that goes, but hopefully you all join us on Thursday night. That'll be a blast. It'll be a lot of fun. And then not going full crazy. We're not going to be live on day 2 and day 3. But I'll have videos as soon as I can after those picks are made.
That would be psycho. That'd be psycho. It would be a hell of a commitment, but it would be almost psycho. I've never watched day 2,
day 3.
Never.
Day 3 is a blast.
I get the alerts on my phone, but I've never once tuned in to watch that. But all right, we're gonna take a break. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. Jacob, Elliot, Casey. I pointed to Casey when I said Elliot. We're gonna take a break. Welcome on in. Last segment of the day for the radio. Look at that. Look at that man. Look at that. Want to do one of those?
Yeah, send it over.
Yeah. Oh,
Coming back. And that's the radio.
And then Casey. The radio, for those of you who are wondering what we just did, there's no point of explaining.
No,
it's really,
no.
really stupid.
Clarification for those in our chat. Love the support. Thank you guys so much. But the live show on Thursdays, not at Champions or anything like that. Just going to be live on YouTube, like Chatterbox Bengals was for the 17 games of the regular season. So very similar to that. Going to be me and Craig. Certainly going to have Casey pop on as an expert guest after these Bengals picks and tell you all what you need to know. Maybe Elliot, too. Have some fun. So.
Only if it's Cam Scatabo.
That's right.
Only if it's Cam Scatabo will I come on and let me share my undying love for him. But here we go. Well, I thought it would be fun to end the radio segment today and to end the show on the radio side to do a mock draft. And I know it's going to be difficult to see for those in the radio, but we're going to explain all the picks.
We're going to talk through it.
And basically, I wanted to see if we had this exact scenario, who Casey and Jacob would pick and who they would take. And Elliot. I would say my vote weighs less. But nonetheless, we're going to flash this up on the screen here.
All right.
And I think we're ready to enter the draft.
Yep, here we go. We're starting the draft.
And this factors in that we only have 6 picks, too?
It does.
Wow,
It's in order, and you can mess with the sliders beforehand to do how realistic or how surprising they are. Casey obviously did not speed it up at all, which is going to make this pretty brutal to roll
in case we wanted to pause it to
16
trade.
picks.
I don't know.
Oh, that's very funny.
Should have done this on Turbo, Casey. What are we doing?
Do you guys like doing mock drafts? I've never been a mock draft person.
I do minimum of 4 every Monday.
Okay. Every month.
Yeah,
okay.
all 4 sets.
I like
Mock
that.
draft Monday.
Every Monday.
I like
yes.
that.
They usually update over the weekends. That's why, at least during the combine and things like that. Because if you're doing the same board, you more or less get the same players.
Yeah.
So first pick of the day, obviously, pick 17 in the first round. Casey, if you want to scroll up a little bit there, let's just see the players that went right before the Bengals. See if we missed out on anyone that we really, really want. All right, right there at number 12, a little bit of a kick to the gut. Jihad Campbell goes down to Dallas. Play for the Cowboys. Jalen Walker falls all the way to 14. Boy, what a slide that would be.
Yeah.
To get our hands on Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. That would be a phenomenal pick, but unable as he goes 14 to the Colts. Donovan Ezerico, player a lot of Bengals fans have been looking at potentially be there at 17. One of the lower edge rushers, but in this version falls below Mike Greene. Stays down there in Atlanta. So Tedero McMillan at 16 to the Cardinals. And now we come up to the Bengals. At 17, Casey, this is the debate we were just having. It's Walter Nolan, it's Kelvin Banks, it's Mike Greene, it's Malachi Starks. This is about as good of a board as you can ask for the Bengals, as long as they take one of those 4 players, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to have they will have a lot of options at 17.
No doubt.
I think in previous years, I think you would say that they were like stuck with picking a certain position. I don't think they're in that position this year. I think that they can go in a lot of different directions, and I think there's a lot of great talent there.
They've more backed themselves into the hole of that you have to use your 6 picks on these positions, but the needs are all pretty much even, where they do have that versatility going on in the first round here.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
If the Bengals didn't get it done with T. Higgins, would Emeka be a realistic option for the Bengals in the first round?
Would be my pick here.
Really?
With this board, if T. Higgins was not on the Bengals, Emeka Egbuka would be my pick. The other Buckeye is what I wanted to ask Casey about here. We just spent a little bit of time talking about Kelvin Banks. Everyone certainly has kind of started mocking him to the Bengals as that potential guard, tackle, flex player. Josh Simmons, the Buckeyes tackle, one of the best tackles in all of college football, put together stellar film in just the 4 short weeks before he got hurt. Would you consider him here at 17, or does he scare you more as one of those traditional tackles?
I think he's more of a traditional tackle. I do think the injury kind of scares me too.
For sure.
I need some more security with my first pick,
especially at 17.
Yeah, and I think that's also why the segment we just had before, why I'm leaning more towards Kelvin Banks, because I do think he's the safest out of all the picks that you can make. I think he's the safest pick, and the pick that you can, if he doesn't work out at guard, you still have that option at tackle for him. So I do think that Josh Simmons, though, I think he is more of a traditional tackle. I think he's a bit bigger and plays more like a traditional tackle in the NFL than a guard. So would not be my choice here.
Kelvin Banks seems to be where you're leaning?
That's where I would be leaning.
Let's go for
we
it.
could-
Fine by me.
All right.
I'll stamp it with
we'll
approval.
do it.
Elliot?
I don't like the pick.
No, out on
Elliot,
Kelvin
wait,
Banks.
I want Mike Green.
Mike Green. So,
But we're not. We're
Let's
going
do-
with your
no,
pick.
no,
We're going with
no,
your
no,
pick.
no. I'll go
We-
through Mike Green because there's some people in the chat that really like Mike Green as well.
Okay.
AJ Wirth, John Silvani both
Yeah,
talking
we're,
about how much
we're
they like
getting
Mike
that
Green.
edge rusher to pair with Trey
He's an
Henderson.
elite player. He had a lot of great production at Marshall. Certainly a exciting player, but he does scare me with the off the field issues. We talked about them with James Pierce, but that's more locker room oriented. Mike Green's have been legal issues, so it does scare me. Those kind of followed him high school through college. That is a little bit of a worry for me. Not the direction I would go, but certainly a very good
I'm
play.
I'm just scared to take offensive lineman with that first pick.
Fair enough.
I don't want to take anybody on the offensive side of the football in that first pick. That's just me, but I know nothing. Second pick, here we have, and this is where you start to lose me completely, because I've heard of those names, and now we start to go to you two.
Did we end up going Kelvin Banks or Mike Green at 17?
Mike
We
Green?
went Mike Green.
Okay, so if we didn't go Mike Green, I would go defense here.
Yep.
And I would take either Kevin Winston or Benjamin Morrison.
Okay.
Benjamin Morrison was a no doubt top 15 pick going into this season. Got hurt early in the year, missed the whole season for Notre Dame. That's incredible value.
Yeah.
Down here at pick 49. Also a captain of Al Golden's defense for multiple years at Notre Dame. He
Yep.
knows the system. I know we don't necessarily need a corner. I have a lot of faith in Dax Hale, DJ Turner to be good players on that side of the ball in that secondary. But I think Benjamin Morrison would almost be too good to pass up here. I would not do it if we went Mike Green in the first round because of what I'm going to get to next. But I love Benjamin Morrison. I love Kevin Winston Jr., the safety out of Penn State. Nomar Norman Lott had one of the best pass rush win rates in the entire country last year at Tennessee. But since we used that first-round pick on the defensive side of the ball and an edge rusher, I think this is a perfect player falling into the Bengals' lap. I think it's Donovan Jackson right here, the 45th ranked player on PFF's board. He played tackle throughout the playoffs for Ohio State after the injury to Josh Simmons, and he was an All-American guard before that. What more do you want in Cincinnati? You have him at guard, being a no-doubt starter on week one. If there's an injury to Orlando Brown, if Marius Mims goes down, boom, you bump him out to tackle. You have Cody Ford, Cordell Volson backing him up. I think that is a perfect second-round pick for the Bengals. Donovan Jackson's a no-brainer here for me, Casey.
Yeah, I'm also agreeing with you. I do think Donovan Jackson is a very lucky pick that we got here.
Absolutely.
Just looking at the ADP here, I mean, he's usually picked before us, right before us. So this is an excellent pick. If you scroll on down, you can see the ranks here, and I know you can believe what you see with PFF ranks, or you can do your own research, but it's a pretty far gap between Donovan Jackson and then the next offensive lineman being at that third round
Absolutely.
area. So you can see your Tate Ratledge is there, Ursery there, and then it gets even far sparse the further you go. So I think it's a very lucky pick here that we got the option to draft Donovan Jackson. The guard tackle
For
position
sure.
versatility is something that I think the Bengals will be jumping all over. Let's do it. Donovan Jackson, our second round
I'm
pick
in.
there.
Player on that board that just 0% chance will be there. Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback out of Kentucky. I know he's not one that we have talked about a lot for the Bengals this year, but he came out and ran the fastest 40 time for any DB at the combine. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to Green Bay. A lot of these mock draft simulators have him in the mid-40s, but I think he's going to scoot up there. Down here in the third round at pick 81, so far for the Bengals, we've got that pass rusher. We've got that pass protector. We're giving ourselves a lot of versatility here in the late rounds, addressing those first two needs in round one and round two with guys that I know, at least personally, I have a lot of faith in being immediate contributors. This puts us in a phenomenal spot here. You could double up at guard, going with Tate Ratledge here in the third. This maybe means we didn't have to go Donovan Jackson in the second. Maybe we could have loaded up on one of those defensive players, taken Ratledge here, or Jonas Savainia, the tackle from Arizona. The Bengals also met with him. He was a projected first-rounder going into this year, has slid down the board after a lackluster season in Tempe, but we'll see what happens there. I would go defense. I do love the top of this board, and it would, to me, be whichever safety preference you have. Andrew Makuba, Kevin Winston Jr. Kevin Winston Jr. is not on the board here if he was healthy this season, but there are obviously injury concerns that come with that, so that doesn't just make him a no-brainer pick. Andrew Makuba, not one of the more athletic players in the class, but 3 years of unbelievable film at Texas, playing against high-level competition, high-level receivers in practice, and he put together 3 great years. So personally for me, it would be one of these 2 safeties, maybe move Geno Stone back to that role he thrived in Baltimore, that third safety kind of center field, roam the field role. I would love him, more there. Pair one of these 2 safeties with Jordan Battle in the starting lineup. That's personally where I would go here.
Yeah, I like the 2 safeties you mentioned. Tate Ratledge is there too. Couple other choices here that I really like here. Elijah Roberts plays inside and outside.
Yeah.
He's a perfect role for position versatility on defense. He can play edge on your first couple downs, and then on third down passing situations, he can slide inside, give you a little more juice. Arozarena, I love him as well. I think he also provides you that guard convert versatility.
I'm less confident in him playing tackle in the NFL at all than I am he can't shift to guard. I know he's listed as a tackle on there, but those arms were about as short as Will Campbell's. I think he's going to be a really good guard. I just have zero faith in him playing tackle.
Yeah. And then there's a couple other picks down here that would be more luxury, like the Harold Fannons of the world.
Wyatt Milam up there.
Where's Fannin? Where's Fannin at?
Right there at 102.
Okay, so we can get him with the next pick, right?
Probably.
Okay.
That Wyatt Milam tackle from West Virginia, he kind of fits that Donovan Jackson mold that we took in round 2 there.
Yeah.
The really good tackle that's played a lot of really good guard. If, again, we wouldn't have taken Jackson in the second round at 49, I think Wyatt Milam would have been a great pick here with that flexibility.
Yeah. With us addressing our 2 biggest needs, this is a time for us to just pick whatever the best player on the board available is. For me, that's Kevin Winston Jr. I know we just went through that whole list of other guys that are options there.
An interesting one here, down towards the middle of that list, Chris Paul from Ole Miss, the middle linebacker. Now, a little bit early, I think, to probably pull the trigger on a middle linebacker, off-ball linebacker for the Bengals this season, but he had the lowest missed tackle rate in college football last year. One of the most sure tacklers in all of college football. I know that was a big issue for the Bengals last year, so maybe something that could be good. I don't know if you use it here, but could be a good addition.
Yeah.
So who have we decided on? We're going defense, right?
For me, it's the best player available on the board.
Okay, your best play available, your defense. Who are we going with?
One of those 2 safeties, Casey's choice.
I think Casey's a Penn State guy.
I'm going to go with Kevin Winston.
There we go. Love him.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to end this for the radio show. We're going to continue on for the YouTube side. Thank you very much. Those were our first 3 picks. If you'd like to see the other picks, obviously, come over to the YouTube side. Thank you very much for those of you who are listening in Dayton right now, in your car or on your radio.
That's right.
Thank you very much. We will see you guys on Monday. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Elliot, Jacob, Casey.
Good points.
We're out. Look at that shimmy shake. Look at that little shimmy. Look at that little shimmy. Welcome on back. Woo! Just YouTube now. Just YouTube. We're going to continue on with our mock draft. The official Chatterbox mock draft of the 2025 season. So, continuing on here, Casey, we'll flash it back up. Our first 3 picks, do we have those available to us just to refresh everybody here?
Yep. Our first 3 picks were Mike Green, Donovan Jackson, and Kevin Winston Jr. The edge rusher, the tackle to guard convert, and the safety out of Penn State.
I am sleeping 9 beautiful, restful hours on Friday night, if that's what the board looks like. It looks like
You're
after
happy?
day 2.
You're happy with that?
I mean, that is a phenomenal 3 rounds of the draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. And will it all work out? Who knows? But on draft night, got to have a little optimism.
Oh yeah. So now we switch over to maybe we've addressed the defense, we've addressed the line. I would say, I mean, I could be wrong here, but it feels like the offensive line going forward, you're almost praying for them to be good at that point. I don't know how much depth there is here. Obviously, as somebody who doesn't love the NFL draft post day 2, certainly.
I think it's a pretty good question for you, though. What kind of faith do you have in Cody Ford, Cordell Volson, and Lucas Patrick to be a starter on this team?
I don't have any faith.
In which case, the offensive line's not fixed.
I guess you're right. But going forward for an offense that seemingly doesn't have a lot of holes, one hole that Jacob mentioned, at least, prior to today and all of last week and this week, is maybe the Bengals are going to draft a running back. Is that what we're going to go here with our 4th pick?
Well, let's take a look at the board. Let's see what running backs are available. Certainly that's what drives this whole thing. We've had a lot of conversations about how good this class is, but it doesn't matter if they go a lot earlier than you expect, right?
Yeah.
So these running backs are certainly some of the better players on the board. Jadon Blue, 2 receiving touchdowns against Ohio State in that Cotton Bowl. Certainly shows you a little bit of versatility out of the backfield. A very, very good pass protector, which is certainly something that would be good to pair with Chase Brown. A lot of Bengals fans have been looking through at body types and saying we need that ground and pound physical back to pair with Chase Brown. I think it would also be a good move to go with the Travion Henderson kind of mold, that elite pass protector and receiver. Give Chase Brown, the time off on those downs as opposed to the others. These running backs, none of which really jump off the page to me. I think if you're going to take one, you probably go with Jadon Blue here from Texas, but not a great fit for me here for the Bengals. I would go a different direction. That top tackle there, Jalen Rivers from Miami, the Bengals met with him earlier this week on a top 30 visit. Bengals usually love to live in those ranges when they get down here. And we just talked about the confidence of the other guards on this roster. Obviously, we're thinking Donovan Jackson, our 2nd-round pick in this mock, is going to start at one of those positions. Maybe Jalen Rivers starts at the other. I think that would be a decent way to go. A name I mentioned earlier in the show when we talked about mid-round tackle guard convert depth, Logan Brown, the tackle from Kansas, a very exciting, athletic player. And then we have 2 linebackers that certainly is a position of need, especially if the Bengals move off of Jermaine Pratt. Barrett Carter from Clemson, with a long NFL heritage of his father and grandfather also playing in the league. And then Jack Kaiser, captain of that Notre Dame Fighting Irish team for our new defensive coordinator, Al Golden.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I think he would certainly be a good player. Sneaking in there at the bottom is your guy, Luke Kandra.
Let's do it. I think we can save him.
I think he would be a good player. I do think this is a little early.
Yeah, I do think it's a little early. For me, all those offensive linemen, I don't think come in day one and compete. That's my biggest thing. Is I do think they're good players, and I think they can develop into something. I don't think they come in day one and make an impact. I do think maybe the linebackers could come in and make an impact day one.
Yeah.
I think Barrett Carter can easily edge out, or Jermaine Pratt, who's just slow and
or
old.
maybe not edge out Jermaine Pratt, because maybe Jermaine Pratt's not on this roster.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Jack Kaiser, same thing with him. Even like Kobe King, that's another guy if we want to just go Penn State defense here. But yeah, I'm with you on the running back situation. Jadon Blue is probably the only guy I like at the top of the board at the moment here at 119. There's not a chance that maybe we double down on defense, maybe? Defensive
Certainly
line?
would be interested.
Ty Robinson.
Oh, J.J. Pegues, one of my favorite players in this
Get a
class. I don't know
fullback?
how great he fits the Bengals, but he is a very exciting player. Went through his pro day down in Oxford, Mississippi at Ole Miss, and as soon as he went through the pass rush drills with the defensive line, they made him line up at fullback and run through the running back drills, catching the football. He's a great athlete and a very exciting player. I would love the Bengals to add him here.
Yeah,
Aeneas Peebles, very similar.
Yeah, Aeneas Peebles right there as well. They've had conversations with the Ty Robinson, I believe. I'm not going to do edge rusher.
If you're not confident in Jalen Rivers or the Kansas tackle, I would probably go with one of those 2 interior linemen there. Well, I guess Ty Robinson as well, but
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe that's a better choice here just to get some interior juice. I don't think there's really any pass rush juice in the inside. I don't know which one you would prefer. We can go with Ty or Pegues if you want.
I would in this spot with this board, I would go J.J. Pegues or Barrett Carter, one of the 2.
Okay.
And I'll leave it up to you.
Let's go with JJ because
Okay.
I usually go linebacker here.
Yeah.
Let's change it up a little bit.
I think
for
he's a
myself.
very, very fun player. Bengals fans that might not know that name get to have a very fun time in between round 3 and round 4 looking up the highlights, or between round 4 and round 5 looking up those highlights.
And not to mention, I mean, he gets fullback opportunities
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So I mean, that'd be really fun. And literally right after Barrett Carter was selected.
Absolutely. So
So-
we were in a good spot there in
Yeah.
terms of deciding between players.
Yep. So now we are sitting here in round 5. Let me go ahead and
Now, you guys might call me crazy.
We got a Bearcat yet?
If Gandra's still there, we can consider it.
Kandra's still there.
Logan Brown, I would still consider. The guy that you cleared him off of there when you sorted by positions, and you guys might not like it. How about Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State?
Ooh.
How much faith do you have in Andre Yoshivas as a wide receiver 3?
Very little.
What do you have belief in Jermaine Burton taking any kind of step?
LOL.
Right. So Kyle Williams is a guy. Chris Sims, the Fox Sports analyst, he had Malik Neighbors as his number 1 wide receiver in last year's class.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. as his number 2 wide receiver in last year's class. And Marvin Harrison is number 4 behind Roma Dunze as well. He was killed for it in the pre-draft. Pretty nail on the head for how the season went.
Interesting.
And the rookie receivers. He has Kyle Williams as his number 2 receiver in this year's class. So just interesting there. A lot of people do believe in him with the production he put up at Washington State. An unbelievable year 2 years ago with Cam Ward at the helm. And he really put it together again this season.
1,200 yards, 70 catches, 14 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Unbelievable season.
Yeah, very, very good season.
Jacob sold me. I'm in on this kid.
I like him a lot, and I think that would be a very fun pick there. And I don't think wide receiver is as low on the needs list as a lot of people think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Jacob.
That's where I would go with this pick.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the board in general, he's definitely the
ETN still available?
top player on the board for sure. And also too, this could be a potential spot for them to trade down just to get that
Absolutely.
extra pick.
The only reason I don't trade down in mock drafts is because I can't talk myself into the Bengals doing it.
Correct. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And there's not really a guy on this page right now that's just screaming to me that needs to be a Bengal. I like the
Right.
Logan Brown, Kobe King, of course. And after that, I mean, there's not really like a running back that really screens to me.
The backs
at the
we're
moment.
looking at here are the backs I want in 6 and 7. It's the Damian Martinez's of the world. It's the Trevor Etienne's of the world. These guys just they don't jive with me for this pick.
Yeah, and just I already got a little sneak peek at what some of the guys down below here are, and you can't see it because it's off screen. But there's some guys that I don't think should be at this far down below
Yeah.
that I feel comfortable taking with the
Rocket
next
Sanders,
pick.
Corey Kiner, both would be fun
would
additions to the
love
backfield.
Corey Kiner.
7th round pick, Corey Kiner. I'm all in. Undrafted free agency. Sign me up.
And just to show what we've already drafted, we've got our defensive line kind of figured out. Got some secondary address. We got a guy that can play guard or tackle. I think we can afford to take another pick here that is not addressing a need necessarily.
It's a luxury pick. There's no doubt about it. But when you have distantly this much of a best player on the board, I think you just thank your lucky stars that you were able to address your needs in the first 4 rounds, and you throw a party for getting Kyle Williams in the 5th.
Yep, I'm kind of with you on that one. Let's do it. Kyle Williams is now a Bengal. And we can speed this up maybe. Oh, well, let's go on as fast as it can.
Good try. Keith.
Remember right about there, we took Khalil Herbert for 2 starts?
Yeah.
And now on to the next pick for the Bengals.
Our final pick.
This is correct. This is where I would look at strictly the positions we have left that we would like to add to. I think in that realm we have halfback, we have corner, we might have another lineman. And I would take the best of those positions available. You're only getting a substantial contributor at this spot here if you hit a lottery.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's luck. It's
So
all
I'm
luck.
taking a player that I believe can contribute to this team at their current level, or maybe someone, if I see someone with that lottery vibe to them, maybe I believe in them there. The Bengals did meet with Jonah Monheim, the center from USC at the Combine, and I believe they had a top 30 visit scheduled as well. I cannot find confirmation for that, but certainly a player they've had conversations with. He can play guard. We talked about those running backs, but I don't know if I'd go there at this pick.
The Miles Frazier is the one that I don't think will be here.
I would tend to agree with you there, so I would like to not take him.
Yeah.
In the sense of
I think that's cheating.
keeping a little bit of
I think it would be
good
cheating.
vibes in this draft. Linebacker David Shaw says you need a linebacker. I don't hate that. It certainly is a question when you get down here to the sixth round. You know what linebackers are available. A player on that board, and certainly I do have a little bit of bias being a Buckeye fan that I like a lot, is Jordan Hancock. He's not on the board there right now. He is a corner. He played predominantly slot corner over his time at Ohio State, but he's a very, very exciting player, and unless you think Dax Hill slides into that slot role and locks it up, then I think that could be a very fun pick. Jalen Walker, we talked about Jalon Walker from Georgia in the first round potentially falling to the Bengals. Jalen Walker from Indiana here in the later rounds. He's an exciting player as well. Taj Brooks, more of that power back from Texas Tech. Maybe he's a good running mate for Chase Brown. I think there's a lot of ways you can go here. Teddy Buchanan, one of the more exciting linebackers flying up boards late in this draft process. I would be a little bit surprised if he was there at this point. Holland Pierce fits that body type for the Bengals, that 6'7", 350 at tackle, and they met with him at the Combine. So a lot of players here on the board that make a lot of sense for the Bengals. Casey, is anyone jumping off the page for you?
Oh, man. This is a tough one.
I'm taking my Bearcat.
You're taking John Williams or Corey Kiner?
Corey. I'm taking Corey.
Kiner. If I'm trying to figure out who's going to make an impact day one, I think you take running back or linebacker here if you're trying to find value right away.
What do you think about Jamon Dumas-Johnson from Kentucky? He was a first-team All-American at Georgia, transferred to Kentucky, barely played.
I don't know. I don't know much about this kid. You would have to fill me in on him.
Well, that's the issue. I think a lot of people are scratching their heads wondering what happened to him because he was unbelievable at Georgia. Maybe a product of having Jalen Carter and all those guys in front of you, Jordan Davis in front of you, but he didn't look even remotely the same player. There's a running back that could be a little bit interesting, Ollie Gordon. Go ahead and click on that profile. It's something that's a little shocking on Ollie Gordon. Those last year's numbers, unbelievable. 1,700 yards, 6 yards a carry, 50 targets in the receiving game. Woo! This year, 850 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, only 30 targets in the receiving game. Going into this season, Ollie Gordon and Ashton Jeanty were a pick'em to win the Doak Walker for best running back in college football. Ashton Jeanty's going to be a top 10 pick. Ollie Gordon's still sitting here in the 6th round. Just very, very interesting to see that kind of fall for a player that was expected to be one of the top running backs in a loaded class going into this year. If we wouldn't have taken Kyle Williams in the 5th round, that felt like the luxury pick. Maybe I go Ollie Gordon here, but I don't think they go wide receiver and running back in these last 2 rounds.
I definitely don't think that's the case. But if I had to vote, I'm voting for Corey Kiner.
Fair enough. For
Casey, no other reason than he played for my team.
Jackson Slater, interesting as well, the Sacramento State guard. He was invited to the Combine very late, was unable to go, performed at his pro day with above a 9.5 RAS score, I do believe. One of the more athletic linemen in this entire class. Could be exciting there in the 6th round, kind of like a Matt Lee type pick from last year, a young lineman that you do believe in.
Is there anyone that's screaming to you, Jacob?
That's tough. I love Teddy Buchanan because of the athleticism at linebacker, and we certainly do need a linebacker in this class getting down this late without any help in the middle of that defense, unless you think Oren Burks can step into that linebacker 2 role. We missed out on Jihad. We missed out on some of those other off-ball guys later in the draft, Demetrius Knight. Teddy Buchanan might be the answer here.
I think I'm with you. Jay Higgins also makes a lot of sense, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless you want to double up on offensive line, I would go linebacker here.
I don't think the Bengals will go. I don't think they'll double up just because they'll have so many positions, or they'll have so many guys on the offensive line that it'll be really hard to keep all of them. They'll have to cut someone, and I just don't think they're going to do that. So I'm going to lean towards Teddy Buchanan here.
I love it. This is a draft that I am very, very happy about leaving on after this weekend with these 6 players. I would be very, very happy for the Bengals. That's Mike Green in the 1st round, Donovan Jackson in the second round. Kevin Winston Jr., the safety out of Penn State, in the third round. J.J. Pegues, the D-tackle fullback, in the fourth round from Ole Miss. Kyle Williams, the wide receiver from Washington State, in the fifth. And Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker from Cal, in the sixth round. Some people in the chat saying they would like Higgins over Buchanan. The only reason that I lean Buchanan, certainly less college production, maybe not even as good of tape, but when you're down there in the sixth, seventh round, I'm going to take the guy that's the unbelievable athlete.
Well,
I think you'd be able to use him on special teams a lot more than a lot of those other guys.
Casey, what was that? What was our grade there?
The grade was an overall A.
Can we screenshot that?
Definitely save that image. We'll get it tweeted out later today.
Yeah.
The official mock
You
draft.
can take us off that thing if it helps. But
Oh no, you can just save the.
Okay.
You can just download it. Yeah.
oh, it rocks. Good for that.
That's now Casey, you got to give your stamp of approval too, because I just gave mine. But that is a
Yeah,
pretty damn spiffy 6 rounds.
Yeah, I think you go into next season feeling really good about your defensive line, as long as you're keeping Trey Hendrickson around.
For sure.
Mike Green, Trey Hendrickson combination is very, very devastating. I think Donovan Jackson gives you security that he can play basically any position on the offensive line, so you don't need to go out and get a guy. I would still get a guy in free agency, but you don't have to now that he can play both. Kevin Winston Jr., I think, provides you that thumper that you needed at safety. I think he provides you that guy that can basically lay the law of the land in the secondary.
Yeah.
The JJ pick is really fun. I think that, he can be a floor guy on the defensive line and then just give you a little extra oomph at fullback because, we've got a smaller Chase Brown. You might need someone leading the charge that's a little more, and that's what he is. Kyle Williams, also a really fun pick, like you said. There's a lot of potential there that he can just really shine. And if you were able to get that third receiver even close to what like a Tyler Boyd was early on, I mean, that's just fantastic. And then Teddy Buchanan, a great depth piece, linebacker. I think that's a good choice for the Bengals. They need more depth there at linebacker, and it's a guy that's super athletic. He can basically fill in what the void was if Orlin Burks can't.
I would say that I would hope Teddy Buchanan can be above and beyond what Jermaine Pratt was. In terms of athleticism in the middle of that defense, covering ground. Our friends over at Gridiron Grading just checked their board. We drafted Teddy Buchanan with the 193rd pick in the 6th round. They have Teddy Buchanan as their 88th player overall.
Really?
So very, very good value there for a linebacker late in the draft at only 22 and a half years old. This is a guy that is a great athlete. 94.1 RAS score. Really, really athletic in the middle of that defense. I think that would be very, very exciting. I don't think it can be overstated how perfect Donovan Jackson is for this team.
Yeah.
I think
that's a dream pick, honestly.
Right. If the Bengals win, another game or two in this season, they're picking in the mid-20s and, make the playoffs, get bounced, picking in the mid-20s instead of 17. I think we're having a very real discussion about Donovan Jackson in the first round. Just because of how perfect he is for this team needs. Winning those extra 2 games obviously means the defense isn't as abysmal as it was last year. You don't have those glaring needs at 8 or 9 of the 11 positions. But Donovan Jackson, when you talk about what the Bengals need, you need a guard for 2 years, then you can bump out and play tackle. He hits that nail on the head, doing it at a very, very high level at Ohio State for multiple years. 2-time All Big Ten at guard. First team all playoff at tackle after those 4 games. He was unbelievable. And then Mike Green, if he can get the off the field issues figured out, he's going to be a dominant pass rusher next to Trey Hendrickson, something that we haven't seen here ever.
Long time.
The peak of Sam Hubbard was fine, but I think even, an average Mike Green, as long as he's staying on the field, I think that would be his floor. So the sack production that we'd be able to get with these people, plus Kevin Winston in the defensive backfield, taking a lot of pressure off Geno Stone, I think this raises the floor and the ceiling of this team pretty significantly going into next season.
I'm all in. And by the way, I think did all of those picks get? I don't know how traditionally one does in a mock draft, but I feel like every single one of our pick has like an A+.
It was A+, B, A+, B+, A+, A.
Yes.
Very good.
That is a report card my parents would be proud of.
Never got one that looked like that.
Yeah, I never got one either. All right, but that's it. That's our show, Off the Bench. Thank you guys for tuning in today. It was a Friday fun day. Fun yay, as they say. Friday fun yay. Everybody have a very good weekend. Enjoy the weather. Go out golfing. Throw a baseball. Have a picnic. Sit out on your yard mow the lawn, do whatever you need to do, but enjoy the weather because you don't see it like this much in Cincinnati. So go have some fun. Don't let the Reds ruin your day like it ruins mine every single day. But love you all, and we will see you soon. Box lunch a little bit later.